think the beer's going to have to go. Sorry.
Good.
I'll have to make a formal apology on Instagram.
Don't apologise to anybody. They don't care. They'll have forgotten about it.
They do. It was your sister Katrina that made me feel like I was ugly with a moustache.
Why are you listening to Trina? She has terrible taste.
I know.
She's literally terrible. She bought fucking covers for her light switches that were Diamante plastic silver.
Oh, I remember.
Do not trust her when it comes to style. She's good at styling herself. She looks great.
Yeah, she does.
Terrible, terrible style for men.
She dresses like Buffy season 5. But anyway, shall we get going?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Hey everybody, and welcome back to episode 47 of All Bronze No Brains, a Buffy the Vampire Slayer rewatch podcast where we go through the series episode by episode, giving you our hot takes and more pop culture references that you can shake a stick at. I'm the ZEPPO of the podcast, Tony Webster, and I'm joined by the Cordelia of the group, David Jackson.
Yes, guys, today we are talking about the ZEPPO, the 12th episode of Buffy, Season 3, written by Dan Weber, who also wrote Lover's Walk, and directed by Tony's favourite, James Whitmore Jr. Before we get into the episode, Tony, we have some very important questions to answer, like, did Xander just save the day?
And did Xander just bottom for Faith?
And what does this genuinely, what does this ZEPPO even mean?
Roll credits, motherfucker.
Roll credits, bitches.
Okay, guys, before we dive into the episode, we'll get this out of the way first. The ZEPPO refers to the youngest of the Marx brothers, ZEPPO Marx. Now, if you don't know who the Marx brothers are, they're a legendary American comedy troupe that were brothers. They're very chaotic and quick-witted. They're just like us, David, basically, but American. You know?
I do.
But ZEPPO Marx was notably known as the most subdued, kind of straight-laced, useless one. So that's where that reference comes from. So
yeah, you are the ZEPPO of the podcast.
Yeah.
Fair play.
Oh, that was way harsh, Ty.
I was just worried if I called you the ZEPPO of the podcast that it would sit with you too deep and you would think about it and you'd be like, yeah, actually, he's right. And then I just didn't want you to be depressed. So take it away, Queen.
Absolutely not. I'm not the ZEPPO. I am not the ZEPPO of this podcast.
No, not anymore.
I am Larry, Mary, and Moe.
Who's Larry, Mary, and Moe?
I don't know. One of the Marx brothers. Larry, Curly, and Moe. Larry, Curly, and Moe's the name of it. You didn't learn the other 3 names of the brothers?
No, it's Groucho is one of them. Groucho Marx. Larry, Mary, and Moe are
Larry, Curly, and Moe. Are they not the Marx brothers?
The 3 Stooges.
Oh. I don't know anything. All right, well, let's start with the ZEPPO. We have a cold open with the Scoobs and Faith. I'm not including her in the Scooby Gang yet because I don't feel like she's really been part of the thing as much. She's sort of been the way Cordelia isn't anymore. That's just a me thing. We've got the Scoobs and Faith fighting a demon. Straight in with some straight up fighting this big mad class looking great visual effects and costume design, I guess. Willow's doing a spell. Faith is beating the crap out of him. Giles is doing stuff over in the corner, shouting stuff, and Buffy and everybody's fighting the fucking this one big difficult demon. And eventually we see Faith ram the demon, killing it, which is, we don't get this felt very human death. I know that sounds a bit nuts, but felt like a very human death. And we see red on the sword, which I thought was a bit new because usually when they kill a demon and we see blood, it's usually different coloured. But I thought that was quite interesting. No one was really looking for him, but Xander comes out of a pile of rubbish looking rough as all balls. And the Slayers are quite dubious that Xander should not necessarily help in the future.
Xander, one of these days you're gonna get yourself hurt.
Or killed.
Or both.
Basically just saying he's a weak ass little bitch and he's going to end up getting killed because he nearly got killed in that fight. And then it leaves Xander and Giles leaving Xander and Giles on their own, and Giles is sort of going yes, Xander, maybe it is probably good for you to do this. Giles and Xander makes a little Jimmy Olsen joke.
But gee, Mr. White, if Clark and Lois got all the good stories, I'll never be a good reporter.
Jimmy Olsen jokes are pretty much going to be lost on you, huh?
Sorry.
Because Jimmy Olsen's kind of useless when it comes to Superman. He's not useless, of course he isn't. It's just he has no power to do anything. But Giles doesn't get the joke. He seems so distracted throughout this kind of whole episode, to be fair, Giles, because of the worry on the fact that this demon was so difficult to beat. And we sort of cut to the credits. I've probably missed a few things out there, Tony. Would you like to fill the audience in?
First of all, compared to last week's previously on, this week's previously on was so funny. It made me laugh out loud because it was like previously on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, it's like, you're fired. And that was it.
I know. I noticed that and it made me laugh. I knew you were going to talk about it.
Oh, it was so good.
I was like, you're fired. And it was like straight into the fight. And I was like, this didn't happen last week. Oh, right. This is the episode. I thought it was more of the previously on.
I loved this opening. I loved like what you said, the demon design. I loved seeing the group work together. I like seeing Willow actively doing magic. Faith is back. And Giles is like literally dressed. I feel like how I dress nowadays in like a wee 3/4 zip fleece. And I'm just like... I'm not sure if that makes Giles cool or if that makes me not cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved that he's sort of dressed down.
What do you mean by that?
Like he's not working he's not a watcher anymore. He's like, he doesn't need to wear his 3-piece suit or his little, whatever, he uses his tweed jacket with his little leather patches or whatever he normally wears. I noticed that myself, weirdly. I was like, oh, he's dressed down. I even think his hair's not quite as styled. Yeah. Maybe it's a little bit more ruffled. Great opening. I like it when they jump straight into stuff like this.
There was a couple other things that I saw that I really liked. Buffy's wearing DMs and white socks. I was like, yes, because that's totally what I do too. That we were like twins.
Because I'm a trend-setting fashionista.
Buffy's hair is looking fried.
Fried? Oh!
Fried, like girl needs a hair mask.
Gay!
Half of it is like crimped and curled. And the thing is, she's committed to this hairstyle the whole episode, but it's like half of it's straight, the other half is like zigzag crimped, and it just looks... in some places, it really took me out of the episode because I was just like, she needs a Caritas hair treatment.
And you need conversion therapy.
She does.
I did notice her hair was a bit wavy, but didn't notice anything untoward.
Pay attention.
I love seeing Faith back. Just absolutely love. We're about to enter into like a ton of Faith episodes, which is great. After this episode, she's like here every episode. And I thought Xander was kind of cute in this intro, and he's like all fuzzy headed, you know, and he's all a bit like, like there was just something dead cute about him.
Yeah, I would agree. There's something quite sweet and endearing, little brother-esque.
I think also too, this is probably one of the only times so far where we've had a really Xander-centric episode where it's like he actually now gets to act. So there's something quite nice, at least, about getting to see... I don't know, I like this deep dive into Xander a little bit. I think it's very revealing for his character.
Well, as always, with the script that I've written as we talk, I watch it and write it. I actually quite enjoy writing the script as I go, rather than knowing exactly what happens. So like, because it's real to if you were watching it for the first time, I have a funny feeling, Tony, we're going to diametrically disagree with each other in this episode.
I am not a fan of this episode. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, I don't think you like Buffy. Sometimes I think you hate Buffy. Nothing seems to rhyme with Buffy. Maybe you're just being huffy. And sunny day it was snowing. You said, how the fuck is it snowing? Don't believe in a miracle. And how the fuck is it snowing? And people say we're alike, except you've got better hair. We talk about making podcasts, but I know you hate Xander. Why did Faith go to Buffy's? Why are they lighting these fires? Why are we taking this personal? I think I know how you feel. Dave, it's so confusing sometimes to be a Dave.
Now, I wonder sometimes when you text me to tell me that something's good, that I'm like, okay, I have to think and then I'm looking for the good, and if I didn't have anything, but no, I actually at the end have a whole paragraph that I want to say before we even, but you may change my mind.
Nuns running marathons at 10 in Blister Act. But now on Channel 4, will Tony change Dave's mind in a brand new, all bronze, no brains?
I just got to go post credits.
Yeah, that's where we are.
Because Giles didn't get the joke. So we open in school, and there's a load of old guys throwing American football around. And Xander's like, pass it to me. And then eventually the dude does throw it and pass it to him, and he very clearly should have caught it. Like, it Anyway,
I'm like, you don't ask someone to pass you a ball if you can't catch it. Like, I was just like, can you imagine me like hanging around the football pitch, be like, Daniel Cahill, pass me the ball.
Daniel Cahill. Well, he was actually really good at football. He was really tough. I remember him beating the shit out of someone. It was like really quite scary.
And sexy. He was in your class?
Oh, I know it didn't. I wouldn't have called him sexy. Xander ends up dropping I keep saying American football for American pants. He drops the football.
He drops the ball.
He ends up dropping the ball and running into who we now know as Jack the Bully, and knocks his lunch out of his hands, who then threatens to cut his face open. And to be fair, Xander genuinely looks frightened. And I was like, holy shit, this guy just went from like 0 to evil as fuck in seconds. And he looks quite frightened and quite sweet.
What? Starting something? Like that Michael Jackson song, right? That was a lot of fun. Too high to get over. Yeah.
All of this happens in front of Cordelia. He has this like absolute. She's amazing in this, to be fair. I quite like that she just always seems to be in the right place at the right time.
She's obsessed with Xander still.
She is definitely obsessed with Xander still. And she absolutely nails the fact that Xander is the weak link within the Scoobs, as he has no superpower. He has no historic knowledge of things that Giles has, nor can he do the witchcraft stuff that Willow can do. And I just thought that was wild mean. I just thought that was just all so cutting and mean that she has this so smug
unnecessarily.
Yeah. I just think it's like, all right. And this is this episode just beating us over the head with how weak Xander is relentlessly.
Yeah.
We cut to the diner, and in my opinion, the food always looks fucking disgusting. But I know you would love it.
It does look rank.
I bet you'd love it though.
Also, it's not a diner, it's a cafeteria. It's called cafeteria.
Sorry, not a diner. Diner. In the cafeteria, the food always looks stinking. It looks so uncooked.
But it looks like something I would make. Like, I love when I make spaghetti that looks like that on a plate. I'm like, oh, I love it. Sketty.
There's no sauce, just dries.
Sketty.
Spaghetti.
Sketty.
Spaghetti.
Sketty. My dinner today is coming from a Chinese that I got Too Good to Go up the street. So at 5:30 I can go, and they always, because companies get a tax write-off if they contribute. So that's why you're not getting like leftovers. You're actually just getting like fresh stuff for them to. So I'm going to be getting like 2 Chinese meals for my dinner.
I didn't realize the Chineses did. I always thought of it as cafes, please. I forgot you just get like a full fucking. Because the Pizza Punks does it.
Yeah.
You get a pizza.
Yeah. I got a Pizza Punks from Glasgow for like £4, and they just made the pizza fresh at the end of the night.
It's just their stuff, their leftover ingredients, and throw it on their pizza. Fuck, that's so good. Xander in this scene is struggling with the fact that he isn't cool. He keeps talking about cool, which I thought was, does Cordy say that he's not cool? I think she sort of does imply.
Yeah. She says the boy that had no cool.
That's it, the boy that had no cool. And then we find out that this is the little bits where we find out that he played the flugelhorn, which I thought was great, because he starts talking about maybe I should play, because it's him and Oz, and I really like that Xander and Oz are mates. I just like that. I like that that's continued on, that we're still seeing their little bromance, and Oz portraying the coolest person that's ever existed on screen as he's trying to describe cool, and nailing it by going like, well, what is cool? Like, who cares? And that's the coolest thing of all. Is the secret is no one cares. The people who don't care about cool are the coolest. But Xander realized that he doesn't have an identity. We have one of those like great edit as Oz is about to say.
The word for those.
Yes,
smash cut.
Is that what that's called? A smash cut?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try and add that to my thing. And we smash cut from Oz saying,
I mean, you got some identity issues. It's not
the end of the world.
Which it kind of is. We found out later on. Anything so far?
First of all, when they're in the schoolyard, I love that Cordelia is hovering around in the background like a fucking 40-year-old lawyer from the 80s.
Her hair.
Her outfit as well is like a full-on like oversized lawyer suit. It's like she's playing dress up as like a fucking
Armagh. She's just literally wearing Armagh's clothes. It's like...
Yeah. I love the introduction of Jack O'Toole because I just love that he's hot as fuck. I love that kind of look where it's like, I love when guys, like young guys, have a goatee.
He's definitely going to give you cystitis.
I ought to cut your face open.
The cystitis look.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it.
We dirty dick.
Like, you definitely know you need to go to like the brook afterwards.
100%.
But you don't care.
Brook.
Yeah. I found Xander to be very cute in this scene, or very endearing, when he's like, whoa, sorry, like I didn't mean, like there was, that's what I think what I mean when I say like I like seeing there's a bit more range in Xander in this episode because he doesn't always get to play vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I do like that so we're starting to see like the breakdown of his, because normally we're used to him like being all like he'll cut the tension with like jokes, and even though he still tries to do that, this is the first person he's maybe felt genuinely intimidated.
I like that. I like that the tension wasn't being cut. He was actually pissing him off more the more he was joking.
Cordelia just being unnecessarily a big massive bitch made me feel like I don't even want her to be back in the Scoobies right now, specifically because she walks away saying like there was no part of that wasn't fun.
Yeah.
Like that's just horrible. You're a big horrible bitch.
This episode, throughout the whole of it, people are speaking themselves out loud quite a lot, plot driving stuff, and I'm like, oh, it's one of those things as a writing thing. I'm like, oh, please, can you give them someone to say that to? Like, let her have just said it to someone in front of her. Anyway, continue.
I like that like Cordelia basically hits the nail on the head of what this episode is about then, with like Xander's whole arc starting to revolve around comparative insecurity, which we spoke about recently, like our real life conversation that we had, where I was like, oh, I felt like you and Fiona were so good at music, and then I saw it made me feel like I was really insecure because it's like I wasn't or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought, I think there was something in me that like I related to that, so then therefore
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah.
I think that kind of framed my view of
Mm.
like why I like this episode. One of the things that we don't often mention when we're talking about Xander is that a lot of his flaws do come from a place of insecurity. I don't think we've really talked about that before, even though it's like
So obvious.
it feels glaringly obvious
Yeah.
when you think about it. But one thing I do like about him, even though they're all telling him to Xander, like, go away, be safe, despite his insecurity and his lack of ability to do things, he keeps showing up.
I agree.
And I thought that was quite like an admirable thing when I thought about it.
Do you know, funny, there's never really any point in this whole episode where I get bothered by Xander. I actually think
it's mainly
it's everyone
other
else. It's actually great. We've got this. Do you know? I think what's disappointed me the most is that we're getting some more of Xander where he's not just being a pervert, or he's not just like, well, and he's not just or he's not just doing he is the comic relief, essentially. That he's brave. He is brave. He shows up, even though he has no ability, he still goes out with the Scoobs to help. And you get the feeling he wants to help. And I think, yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that with a lot. Fuck yeah, okay. I'm going to probably reword some things as I'm going through, because, no, actually, I never really go, there's only one bit where I'm like, this doesn't feel believable for Xander. Just one bit. The rest of it's about the cast. It's supporting him. It feels not true or something.
I know, that's why I can't decide whether I should say my stuff that I think about that now or whether I should wait for the moment where I've wrote it. Well, I'll say this up top before we get into the episode. One of the reasons I really enjoyed this episode is because of kind of the structure of it, how basically the B plot becomes the main plot.
Yeah.
And it almost felt like a meta parody of a Buffy episode, because it was like they ham up all of the melodrama.
Yeah.
And we need to save I thought it was all so ridiculously over the top to kind of, as on purpose.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if it was on purpose, but viewing it like a kind of meta parody commentary on shows like Buffy, I liked the comparison that it drew between that. And that's why I feel like a lot of the characters maybe seem out of not characteristic.
I said that in my last paragraph. Basically, that's when even up top I was like, I get why. I promise I understand what they're going, not to you, to the audience. I promise I understand what they're going for with that episode of House MD where they do it. My issue is that I wish they'd have committed to it. I wish they didn't take the piss. It feels like I wish they didn't overham it. I wish they'd have just let I wish we never, because I wish we only ever had scenes where Xander's in it, so it's his perspective of what the Scoops are doing
the whole time.
It's just, there's a few scenes that we had Giles on Willow on their own, and I wish we didn't see that, because then I was like,
yeah,
don't hint then, either tell me or don't tell me, and it's like, that's my issue. I think
I can see that. I think that would have been a really good alternate take to do this episode, where it was like you were only seeing them from his perspective,
or like Cordelia's perspective or something, where someone who's way out of it to be like, that must be mental to live in that town where all of a sudden there's like a vampire running through the street. You'd be like, what the fuck's going on? I think realistically all the best parts of this episode were when Xander interrupted those, yes,
or when he wanted to join.
100%.
So it was like it would have been good to not have got any of the
any of the
like
scenes.
the Buffy and Angel scene.
Like, I would love you to cut a version of this episode where you actually don't ever see, like, there's the scene with Giles and Willow are doing the spell, and like any of the scenes where he doesn't interrupt her, like you don't even see the preamble. You just follow Xander into the room. So you're about to say that the Buffy and Angel scene.
I was just like the Buffy and Angel scene, how it was like, so that felt more melodramatic than what I think, because all of that stuff felt more over the top than usual.
Yeah.
That it, if they'd have just kept it the same intensity and we were just seeing Sanders, but that's the thing. It's like
and
there were just too many points where it just felt like not,
but it's so close,
believable,
which becomes annoying.
Yeah, but it was so close.
Yeah, and you're like,
it was
I really wish you had just been
God,
brave
maybe
enough.
Maybe you're changing my.
I think we're meeting in the middle somewhere, which normally happens. And the other part I was going to say was the meta thing, and I think if you've watched it loads of times, like you can because you know the feeling of a Buffy episode, like you could someone could do a Buffy episode without any of those characters. You'd be like, they're definitely doing a pastiche of Buffy the Vampire Slayer just by the vibe of the show, and it's like, and I'm like, but for me, I don't have that meta experience yet. I'm just watching it episode per week, so it's like it feels a bit too soon to be doing something meta. Season 3 still feels too early to do. They already do a lot of meta callbacks, and they do them so well. Like,
there's also an interesting thing that we have talked about that I've just thought about it now, so I'm just going to mention it now, even though it's maybe not relevant until a bit later. You know how when we were talking about like Joyce and how she feels more like likable and everything because the show's through Buffy's eyes, and now that Joyce is part of the group, we see that. Well, I had this feeling later in the episode. I've just had this thought right now. When Xander sees Angel and he's like, Angel, buddy, like my friend. And he's like so friendly with him that it seems out of character. Obviously, because he's like trying to get away from the girl he's on a date with. But I just had this funny thought. Like, imagine if, like, because we're seeing the show through Buffy's eyes, Xander's just a dick towards Angel because that's how she frames it. I know that's probably not.
No, I had a similar
but
thought to be like,
I like that thought.
Did everything get hammed up because we're watching it through Xander's eyes? Like, it's his. Like, it's done with comic-y, jokey music because that's how his head is always looking at the humor, even in really dangerous moments where he's got a knife at him. It's like, I did have that thought, and I was like, and it's not, I don't know if it's right or wrong. It's just definitely somewhere I'm like, all of it sort of simmers in my head at the same time. So there's bits where I'm like, I love this. There's bits where I'm like, it just felt so close.
Okay, baby, I'm close.
In the next scene where we do have Giles opening up saying the end of the world, here we find out why the demons are in town, basically to bring the end of the world. And Oz comes in and just and it seems to be that these demons are really difficult to beat. This is the sort of impression I'm getting because we don't really get too much. We're just getting a lot of plot being spoken to us. Like, they are really hard to beat. It's been really and so then I'm going to take for what they've said. It's just where sometimes we get shown someone being difficult to beat, even though we do it at the start. But like, again, it's like we have to make a lot of assumptions there, and I feel like it's not. Anyway, but I love this little part where Oz comes in and just goes into his cage on his own, and he looks kind of sad and disappointed.
That was it. I almost like couldn't figure out what the vibe was, or when he says like, you know me, and he goes in his cage, I'm like, I can't tell, is he raging about, or is he just being Oz, or if he's just like,
it seemed
because I know Giles is like, well, you're cutting it close.
Yeah, I don't know. I was a wee bit.
I felt like is something else going on here, but then nothing ever comes of it.
But yeah, I agree. And then we found out that they want to open the Elm Mouth. They want to hope.
Open the Elm Mouth.
They want to open the Hellmouth, and they kind of like look over to the. Is that where you sort of see like this wee bit of the? I really wish there was a thing there to be like, this is the hell, not the general. Anyway, I know it's the general library area. Anyway,
it's basically just where the table is. Yeah, where the table.
But they seem to focus in more at like there seems to be like a gap.
Yeah, there was
in the library
in the wood.
Like there's a door.
There was like this little. It's the bottom of a shelf, like in a kitchen where you've got like that bit of wood that runs along. I think it's just they haven't thought about it when they're doing that shot, and it's broke.
That's what it was.
So it looks like there's like some damage, and it's got the Hellmouth is like behind the bookshelf or something. Like
I got that impression from that shot. We also get the little bit at the end here where Oz, which I refer to him from now on, where Oz pops up and just does a cheesy howl.
I also need to look up as to whether that's actually him in that makeup.
I think it is him. It's the same size, because later on, whenever Giles is able to wrestle a werewolf quite easily. That
I know that. Yeah, I have also wrote about that as well. Maybe we're actually more on the same page of this episode than what I thought.
New scene. We cut to a new scene with Buffy and Willow chatting about their revelations last night. Willow and Buffy talk about doing some deep revelations. Oh yeah, like
how the Hellmouth's
going to open
and be
and
the demon from Prophecy Girls.
Yes, and it's the end of the world.
I'm just like, is that demon like the first one waiting in the queue, like at the Hellmouth, like waiting to get out? Is it just like a fucking
That's a good point.
queue? Like when you go into the Brew, it's got his ticket and it's like waiting the fucking first.
And Willow and Buffy talk about doing some deep research into when they might want to open the Hellmouth. When suddenly Xander rocks up in in this like stunningly beautiful is it a Corvette? As we get later on from that wee girl, it's 57.
It's a 57 Chevy Bel Air.
Chevy Bel Air, that's it. And he's like, "This is my thing. I'm going to be the car guy." And then Buffy inserts like a penis metaphor question. Is this about your penis?
She says, "Is this a penis metaphor?"
Yeah, yeah, that's it. And then we finds out he's actually renting it from his Uncle Rory because he's been steaming. Buffy seems to be quite scared of the big evil this week. Like more so than we've ever seen her before.
It's maybe like a slightly lazy. It's a bit of a lazy way to show they're overpowering the demon and they're overpowering the situation so that when you do make a direct comparison to Xander's storyline, that you're like, oh yeah, like because no one will ever know what he did.
Yeah.
Like, but it's just like.
Yeah.
It's hard for this being a first Xander centric episode to be like, oh, it would have been cool if there was maybe little bits up to this where they. Like, for example, if it had been Giles, because he's been knocked out like 13 times.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, that would have made, you could maybe understand if they're like, oh, okay, this was all from Giles' perspective and they're trying to stop him from getting knocked out.
Yes.
But with Xander, it's just like, they've never been worried about him before.
Yes, that's it. I never understood why they're so worried about him now. But I love the car. To be honest with you, I love the car. And then Buffy's talking about how she's really, really, really scared of this big evil. And then Xander's trying to be cool and help in whatever way. And he just keeps like, can I help in any way? Can I please help? Is there anything I could do? And then we have and then it's where we have a smash cut to him getting donuts for the Scoobies, which is his only way of being helpful. But I'm like, but we have seen him research before. He knows how to read a book and he's like found things or not found things, but he's been in this is where I'm like, I've never seen him go get food for the guy. It's like, I don't know.
They've made the Scoobies they've made them overly like dismissive and kind of condescending.
This is my thing, and it's like
which is not who they are. But then it made me wonder if this is because it's from Xander's perspective.
Yeah.
But then how would he know what they're talking about in private moments?
Exactly, because
I totally get what you're saying.
Then I do say to myself, but maybe he really nearly did die, like really, really nearly did die, and they love him so much, and their friends are genuinely just trying to not have their friend die because I'm like, then tell him he can't be in part of the Scoobs anymore. If you really, anyway, I'm getting into the thing. It doesn't matter. We see him ordering some donuts. I'm going to do this little scene. I'll come back to you. See him ordering some donuts, and Cordelia magically appears right behind us. She's just following him at this point.
Yeah, it seems like it. She's coming from the law office.
she's got like a writ for these people because them jelly donuts aren't being cooked right, and she shows up basically just to fuck with Xander again. He shows us like his fairy devil mother or something, like instead of a girl mother, she's like actively there just to fuck with him, and he asks her to drop dead. He says something very specific.
He says, "Feel free to drop dead of a wasting disease in the next 20 seconds."
That's great. And then she refers to herself as the surgeon of mean, which is so uncool. Does she think she's cool?
I'm a surgeon. Or like, oh, you think you're so good at like extracting these like mean things? It's like you're literally following a boy around town to bully him. You're literally like fucking Helga from Hey Arnold.
Helga from Hey Arnold's great, but there's still chemistry between those two. Like I like that the two actors are bringing chemistry to the scene. There's still that, like I like that. And Cordelia's about to mock the car when an absolutely stunning 10 out of 10 knockout walks up to him and knows everything about it. And I'm sure you're going to tell me what all the details are in a second.
Everyone knows I'm gay. You do know I know nothing about cars.
And Xander is unsure about any of the details about the car, but I like that he gets a bit of a win. I like that he gets to even though in his win he still struggles to climb because everybody watches TV and they climb or watches movies where they just bounce into like a Corvette or a Chevy and he falls and he stumbles because he should be bouncing in on the other side. All these things that I'm like, he's still being uncool. Again, I actually love Xander in this. I get what you mean. Why they have done a really good job of making you like him and seeing his little like sweet side
Yeah.
or something. His vulnerabilities, getting to see him be vulnerable but getting a wee win. I love that. I love that scene, and she is beautiful, that girl. So talk to me.
Yeah. There's a part when they're outside the school when Xander pulls up in the car where Buffy's like, "Oh, I need my Willow," and Willow's like, "No need to be scared," and then he beeps and she's like, "Oh."
Yeah, I noticed that was a funny joke. But she
That
looks
was really
proper
good.
scared as she does with everything.
Yeah.
She commits to the bit.
Really, really good. That 57 Chevy Bel Air car is worth around 50 grand.
Is that it?
Yeah. Well, one sold on eBay apparently for like $250,000, but you can get them for like, I think they're
Yeah, because in
general
America
street
there's
values like
so many of them were made probably.
50,000.
But to look like that
and
though,
yeah,
that's definitely some like the blue trim inside. No, I wish we made cars
Yeah.
like that. They're so beautiful.
It's like the color of the 1950s.
Yeah.
It reminds me of like, the tiles in my bathroom, that kind of blue
Yeah.
where it's like, that kind of, it's almost like disgusting at certain points. It looks like a fridge.
Yes,
like
I love it. I
like
love
Smeg.
Yeah, Smeg. You love Smeg.
No, I do love Smeg. Yeah, Xander. And when he sees Cordelia, I love that line about the drop dead of a wasting disease. But I do like that we're almost getting Cordelia's like, this like bad devil on Xander's shoulder where she's like, her dismantling of his character is what is like trying to like help him find his identity, which in some ways I think is a good thing, because after a relationship, when you do lose yourself in a relationship and you can't figure out who you are. But so there are elements of this that I like, but it does seem like she's just following him around town, like waiting to slap her to him.
Pulling his hair and poking him, being like, I hate you, I love you.
And you said about him stumbling over the car, because I picked up on that too, because I thought it was really good later then when he jumps into the car perfectly when he's like running away from the zombies.
Didn't see it. That's so good.
I thought it was a nice way to be like, oh, when he's try hard, he can't do it, but when he's just like not thinking about
Reacting.
it, then
He
it's
is
like,
cool.
like Oz.
When he isn't thinking, he's cool. When he thinks, he's a fucking nerd. We get a cut to the bronze. Xander is sitting with this beautiful blonde and looks awfully bored, and all she is talking about the different boys who have different cars. And I remember girls like that in school that would let you date a guy just because he had a really nice car. Like, could go down the Bangor for a wee
really?
fucking drive. Aye. Melissa Gordon, I'm looking at you.
Oh yeah, I feel like I vaguely remember Melissa. Like,
She'd have just, every wee girl when you're about 15, 16, if you had a car, it's like freedom.
freedom and fingering.
These are spirit fingers.
And then Angel comes in and he looks
Gorgeous.
shit scared. He's beautiful, stunning, of course, but he looks frightened as fuck. And he comes in and he spots Xander and he says he has seen some portents. And I was like, is Jesus your portent? Jesus is my portent. I know it's portion.
Those Jesus is important.
Jesus is important. And I was like, I thought this was going to come back because I put here hoping to like I'll remember. Oh yeah, this came back. What the fuck is a portent? Portent?
Oh, portent is like a sign, like a sign of something.
I just felt really like I'm such a dopey bastard.
You can look that up to confirm, but no, I think portent is like a when something happens and it signals towards something else happening. You like when before the Master rose, there was the earthquake and there was the blood coming out of the taps.
Okay, I understand.
I just loved Xander calling Angel when he's like Angel buddy, friend buddy. He's like, I know it's obviously to show like, oh, if he's that bored that he's like being this nice to Angel, but I like that it feels like we've finally turned a corner.
I felt it was that he turned the corner, that he felt comfortable enough to be like, hey man, hey buddy. If also the community said the same thing. I don't think it was because of Ness. I think yes, it's because of the date, but he felt comfortable enough to call him that because they've moved on. I think they've moved on to they're part of the gang altogether.
Plus he's hot. Imagine like talking to someone like, imagine if we were out somewhere and like I started talking to a guy like Angel, like we were best mates.
Yeah, but if you're on a date and a guy like the Angel comes up and starts, I'd be like, go away. You're too beautiful. Go away. I can't stand next to you because the comparison's unfair.
He was such a big daddy right in this scene as well. Like,
he looks bigger. He looks like he's been working out or something. He looks, or maybe he's carrying a bit more weight.
He's had his haircut as well because it's freshly spiky.
He looked good. And Xander basically is just wanting to get away from this boring ass bitch. But Angel is like, and here's our another time. I wish I had fucking marked how many times they say like, you need to stay out of harm's way. Literally that line I think is like, you need to stay safe. And I'm like, Angel never cared. I get why the rest of them do. Why does he care? But because I guess to sell how big and bad the big bad is. But to me, I've just written.
Or
like,
I wonder if it's because it's from Xander's perspective. It feels like that's all he hears from people.
Fuck, that's a really good point.
I just thought of that right now. So probably not. We're giving the writers way too much credit.
Well, I've written it's getting a little nose on this one, as in like they keep saying he needs to be safe. We get it. He's not allowed to be involved. He needs to be safe. I thought that was the last time we're going to hear it. Nope. And I was like, we get it. He's a weak ass bitch. It's fine. And then Xander's leaving the bronze with his beautiful date. And as he drives off, for some reason, doesn't look completely straight ahead of him with the big, massive red car in front of him crash into it. Whatever, it happens. It happens, okay, Tony? Sometimes people crash into parked cars. It fucking happens.
I wrote my car off crashing into a parked car.
Not remember I did it with the only crash I've ever had, but technically I didn't have my license yet. It was into a parked car.
But yeah, I fully wrote off my first car because I crashed into a parked car.
Because you didn't put your foot in the brake and just continued accelerating by any chance?
No, because I fell asleep because I was on meth.
Ah. Cut.
Typical meth head.
So he's leaving the bronze. He's in the car, crashes into it, and lo and behold, it's Jack O'Toole getting out of the car, and he looks fucking raging.
Hot.
And then hot.
Buffy and Willow are in the library, and they're doing the research on the Sisterhood of the Jay, the big purple demon women. And Buffy's like, celebrates victory in battle by eating their foes. And she says, they couldn't just pour Gatorade on each other? Which I thought was quite funny.
Just miss this.
Because you know how they like dump the Gatorade on people's head?
On the coach who wins the Super Bowl. Because Oz is in the corner. He's freaking out a little bit and he's like purring and he's like and Willow notices that he's a little cranky today, implying that he may be sensing something that the dogs sense, like with earthquakes and stuff.
Yeah.
And then Jad comes in really raging because he can't figure out what's going on, and Jad says that he needs to contact the spirit guides who exist out of time and in the future, which I thought, class. Wow, this is amazing. Remember, this is another scene where there's no Xander, and I'm like,
yeah,
this. Not to beat, just to point out. I really wish we had. I wish this was another episode with the spirit guides because I like the lore, and I love that Jad's is raging that they're out of jelly donuts. I don't know why, but see when he says no jellies, I thought he was looking for Haribo.
I was wondering. I would have loved for him to say jam. I just felt like it would have made. Well, I had the conflicted feelings because I was like, I wish he'd have said jam, but then I'm like, when you've lived in America for long
you
enough,
would say jelly.
You know that you're like. You just change the word because people are going to be like, "What's jam? What's jam?
Who's jam?"
But I loved how they played the little seriousness of that when he's like, "Did you eat all the jellies?" He's like, and Willow's like, "What, did you want one?" And he's like, "I always have a jelly. I'm the one who says let's have a jelly in the mix."
Yeah, jelly in the mix really made me laugh, like a dolly mixture.
And I was like, Willow's like, "I'm sorry." Buffy had 3.
I like to be tight. You're retard. And then again at the end of that scene, they sort of say like they are like talking about Xander. It's like, no, let's leave him out of it. It's too dangerous. And I'm like,
yeah, because Giles says like, oh, well, maybe we can get more jelly donuts if Xander goes back to the donut shop.
Yeah, I didn't get that. I didn't write that in.
It's like, that was so cheeky.
It was cheeky. And it's, again, this is where you can't be, this isn't Xander's perspective. That's why I am like, it can't be Xander's
That's why
perspective.
you can't say
assume
that, yeah.
Because we are now being shown things where he's not there perspecting. Watching.
Yeah. Well, because this is the thing, like Willow's done 3 spells in the entire show, so to imply that having her there, yeah, I guess she's good for research, but to imply that like she's in any more way useful than Xander just because she does a smidge of magic.
I'm sure when Amy the rat turns herself into a rat, even Buffy's like, what are you going to do, float some pencils at them? So we know that she's not a strong witch. So like, which I still love. That's a really funny line. So we cut to Xander then back at outside the bronze being threatened by I can't forget his name, by Jack, who then pulls out a huge knife that he's named Katie, which I thought was funny.
Katie.
He then rubs his knife, and I was like, Tony's definitely getting hard watching this. Rubbed his knife all over Xander's face because danger. That's such a danger thing for you. I know that would get you absolutely. Look at your face.
Yeah. When it comes to I've got that whole thing written here that we'll talk about when it gets to it.
Don't you feel pathetic?
And then a cop shows up with the lights and is like, what are you boys doing? And then Jack says, we're just wrestling.
But not in a gay way.
And I was like, hold on a second. What's gay wrestling? What, you mean like guys running around, reading storyline scripts, doing their tans, lifting weights together? I was like, wrestling's already pretty gay if you ask me. Is that homophobic?
Like you'd care.
Don't know if that's homophobic.
No, not at all. Wrestling is literally like queer cinema.
It is. It's like slapping each other and stuff. And now don't get me wrong. I know a few wrestlers in Belfast. I could never do it. I'm a wuss with pain. Like they absolutely beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
They are hurting each other, but it's not real life.
But it's full theater. Like it's like, that's why I just love the theatrics of
I love wrestling.
because it's such a mixture of like.
The Rock is an
All that.
amazing actor, but became an actor, and all those
Insert a clip from the Scorpion King.
The bully then decides that because Xander didn't tout, he could be part of his gang. And the girl again. And also there's a bit when he whips out the knife, she's like, oh, I like your knife.
Wow, cool knife.
And this is also, I'm like, you're just reducing women down to like such a cliched fantasy. Like, he's the bad boy. Like, no, I'm pretty sure any woman, if a guy whips out a knife, is running like fuck. And she's okay with the knife, but as soon as a corpse comes around, she runs away like a wee bitch. Anyway, why are the characters so shallow and one-dimensional?
I mean, her or Jack?
So no, I'm not talking about Jack here. I'm talking about her. She just likes objects and the boys that are attached to objects.
I had a thought about that as well, but again, it's like I don't want to be like, I had a deep thought about this because it's probably not what the writers were intending. But
go for it.
My thought was that like on paper, this girl, a bimbo who likes cars that doesn't need to have a real conversation, is totally the type that Xander would normally be the biggest perv over. But we're starting to see that as he's trying to find his identity, that's not something he's satisfied with.
Fair.
That was just
fair.
A thought
I think that's perfectly
it's definitely
acceptable.
not what they were intending.
Don't feel like it's what they're intending as we go through it, but I don't disagree with what you said. Xander basically has some new friends and he's going to pick up the boys. I kind of like this. He's going to
pick up the boys.
He's going to pick up the boys.
Here come the
girls. We cut to the graveyard with the bully dude trying to basically raise the dead, which I'm like, huh? And then he does. And I'm like,
yeah.
Huh? And then Bob pops out. I love Bob. I'm not going to lie. Bob the Corpse is one of my favorite characters
Bob.
I've ever seen because he is also, they're all just shallow stereotypes of what I imagine American teenagers are. But the weird thing is Buffy never is that.
I love the flip of this zombie trope where like they are fully their normal personalities and they're not like. I thought that was a really interesting way to do zombies.
And I think I jumped between saying corpse and zombie because a zombie implies that you're in another world. But I think corpse is probably correct because it's just
like a reanimated corpse.
Been reanimated. The person still exists in them. They're not like a vampire who now he doesn't have a soul anymore and a demon has now been put into their body or whatever the lore is. That is roughly what it is, that it's now a demon, right?
Yeah, the demon like takes up place instead of their soul.
So it's like they are just themselves, but they're just thuggish gang, but they're a weird gang because they're so. One's like clearly the guy who's lives in a trailer with his dad and he's been beaten since a kid, but then we've got this big jock massive guy, and then we get this sort of arty nerdy guy, and there's one and it's quite funny.
I loved their little found family. I was just like, this is like LGBTQZ zombie.
LGBTQ zombie. That's very good. But I'm like, okay, so he can raise the dead, and he says something about his grandpappy was showing them about this, and I was like, oh, we're going to find out this is all to do with it. Nope. I hope we do get some resolution. No, I don't think we ever will. Hang on. They proceed to then go get the rest of the crew who are dead, and we find out it's been 8 months since Bob had died, and because he got, I don't know, we found out a bit later on that he got shot, and the guy who comes out third just comes out going like, dude, which I really just, it made me laugh. Anything on what's happened so far?
Yes, when they're outside the bronze and the knife comes out, and like, I really want like one of those, like a hunting knife. It's because it's the knife from Scream, which I really like. But this actually was leading me into like I was going to be very vulnerable and open with our listeners to talk about probably my biggest sexual fantasy that I have. Is that too open?
No. Say it and then you can decide later on.
And this isn't just me saying this because I've literally spoke to someone about doing this before. About having someone like break into my house like in a Scream costume and just full on pump me.
That's quite a normal fantasy. That's a normal fantasy. It's like a...
But they have to have the Scream costume on. That's the whole thing.
Sorry, I don't want to speak for our audience, but I'm like, I think that's not that. That is you're not.
Oh, I'm not saying that it's out there. I just don't know if that's something I should put.
You can decide. I don't think that's. I think that's a very.
But yeah, no,
normal. Not normal. There is no normal.
Yeah, but they have to wear the mask, and I imagine that they've got like they just like pull up the cloak.
As long as you know it's happening, do you want to know the date that it's happening, or are they allowed a bunch of dates they can choose to break in? And
I mean, it's definitely a consent, non-consent.
yeah. You're consenting to not consent, essentially, or like to imply that you're not consenting, but you're consenting to that. I understand, but I'm curious. I want to delve a little bit deeper into this. I get it. You want the costume.
As someone who in this scenario plans on being a bottom, I would need to have a better window of time so that I could be prepared.
Fair enough.
Just so we're not Jackson Pollock in the sheets with fucking chocolate splatter.
I hate that it's always Jackson Pollock because I'm
check out my gravel pit. Yes, when Jack throws Xander over the car, you see Xander's treasure trail. This was just like a hot gay scene for me. I loved it.
What's a treasure trail?
Like from the belly button down to like your pubes.
Never knew that was a term. Okay.
Yeah, love it. The music when they're in the cemetery, when they cut to them doing the spell, I actually quite liked it. I know I've talked about it a bit before, but it reminds me a bit of, like the Dance Macabre song by Saison, so boop boop, the xylophone.
So I was thinking it's giving me what do you call the guy who did the theme?
Danny Elfman.
Danny Elfman. It's giving me Elfman vibes, which I think might be on purpose. That hard, jokey
just like
horror.
A dark comedy.
Yeah, because he does it a lot with Nightmare Before Christmas, and it's got that.
Yep,
it's quite horrific at times, but still having that the Dance Macabre.
Yeah, like Edward Scissorhands is very like the xylophone. Boop, boop,
yeah,
boop, boop,
I definitely. Yeah, I actually don't disagree. Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all.
I look like I give a fuck.
Did you catch the Walker Texas Ranger reference?
Yes. Have you recorded it for me? Yes, I haven't missed an episode.
Did you ever watch that?
No. No, I remember it used to be on. I tried to watch it. It was so boring. I just never... But at that age, I was like, this is so shit. But I think it's an American show. Not really for us.
Was there one set in Canada where it was like...
Mount Dew?
That's it.
Mount Dew or something it was called.
He's from the Canadian wilderness.
What are you, a flying Boy Scout or something?
Constable Benton Fraser, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
Due south.
Let's go.
I loved that.
You don't even know the name.
Yeah, so did I.
And he was like a Mountie, but he was like a cop, but it was all about how nice he was. He's like Canadian, like, I'm sorry.
Not to be confused with the other famous Mountain Dew, Moses.
No, was it not Due North?
Due south.
Let's go.
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre was shite, whatever it's called. Texas Walker Chainsaw
Massacre.
So then we cut to Jazz talking to Cloud. He looks at Tad. It reminded me a little bit of Zoran from Power Rangers for some reason.
Yeah, Zordon, the big face.
Zoran. I knew I would get that wrong. I knew you'd correct me, but it had the big head and the jar.
Rangers.
But he spoke like that. It was the same sort of voice of like
Wagon wheel Watusi.
It also, for some reason, was reminding me of Charmed whenever they talked to heaven. I don't know. They had all these little.
There was that because of that ethereally light thing, which is something that we don't often see in Buffy, even ever again.
Well, we never. This is again like we get a lot of hell dimension demon-y stuff, not a lot of heaven stuff.
Yeah,
miracles can happen, but which we've seen before.
So he admits it.
But it's not something we get to see very often. It's always hell and demons.
Yeah.
Basically, he's asking for how to defeat the beast, and then the Cloud says, nah, and then just floats away. There's zero. He's like, no, it will destroy the world if I tell you. And I'm like, oh, this must be setting up for something later on. And
clearly just to get Giles in the cemetery for this scene.
Fuck's sake, right, okay. So Xander shows up jovially with the fucking corpses behind him, asking if he needs some help. But you literally have corpses over there, and I feel like a Xander in any other episode would have been like, and let me finish my whole, I'm going to say something, but I feel like he would have been like, by the way, this guy can reanimate corpses. Would this be anything to do with what's going on with the big bad? And it's odd that he doesn't think the two. And then again, Jad says that like, stay and be safe. And then I just wrote here, okay, ... This feels like a nonsense episode. Because I'm like, I don't believe that he wouldn't have brought up the fact that he's found corpses in like a dog that's found a bone thing. And then I was like, I think what they're now setting up for, sort of written here, is that Xander wants to solve it himself. And he doesn't want any help from them to solve the thing, to prove that he is valuable. And I get like, and then this is where I'm justifying why in the very 3 or 4 different times he has the opportunity to be like, can you give me a wee hand with these corpses? He just never says, to the point that he goes and interrupts a big romantic scene. And it's like, well, they've already fucking interrupted it. You might as well tell him. He's like, actually, it's all good. Not to think that Angel Buffy at that point might be like, what's going on with him? He keeps... Anyway, this is where I get a little bit... But then I stopped. I just realized that this is a nonsense episode. That's all I'm calling it, is a nonsense episode.
Yeah.
Buffy is at Willie's. I'm going to say a bit and I'll get you to talk about all this. Buffy is at Willie's, who looks like he's had his bollocks knocked in, but Willie, for the first time, not acting very good.
No.
I'm like, oh, fuck, why are you coughing?
If I were you, I'd find Angel and go somewhere quiet together. Like, why are you giving me the biggest, most dramatic life advice ever? I'm the Slayer, of course.
Why has she got such an emotional attachment to her and Angel's relationship?
Yeah. How does he know Angel is back? Oh, Angel's probably went there for a drink or whatever.
And he then explains that because at the end of that scene between Xander and Giles, Giles is like, we've got weeks anyway to sort it out, and then it cuts to Willie saying like, it's coming tomorrow morning, or it's going to be here in the morning, or by dawn or whatever.
Tonight,
that's what it was. And like, you should go and blah 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 blah. And then I've just written here again, this whole I just wrote here, this whole episode just feels a wee bit undeserved. And then I've said they were looking, Angel and Buffy, whoever the people who beat up Willie were looking for Angel, and then we're looking for Buffy, and I'm like, what?
I thought that was stupid, to be honest. The fact that like these demons are specifically looking like, oh, I'm looking for Buffy and Angel.
It's like, really? Not the Slayer and Angelus, maybe, but like, anyway, anyway, Willie looks really scared of these demons, and it's highlighting again that these are really big, bad, scary demons. And I'm like, but we've seen Big Bad the Master. And this is the thing, is like they're trying to create what took all of season 1 and then all of season 2 to create these really big, scary things that could actually kill them. They're trying to make me feel that same emotional response when I know it's just an episode of the week. I know they're not going to die. I know they're not. Stop trying to create jeopardy when it's not there. And then that's when I start to lose myself a little bit into like, I'm just going to enjoy this for an episode of fun and not for an episode of like, deep, meaningful, like this is going to progress the story arc, all of it. I think this is progressing the character of Xander, but I'm just going to ignore the way I don't think these characters will ever behave like this again.
That's it. I think all of these things that we have problems with in this episode are like all part of like the parody pastiche part. So it's almost like, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't pick them apart. We definitely should, but it almost is like, oh.
Yeah, it's like saying about the stunt doubles. I'm like, I think we've already, in my opinion, I think they've tried for pastiche parody and they've failed. Because I don't think they've where it lands really well, and where it doesn't feels really honk or something. Honk. And then Willie's got his, and he says they're trying to open the Hellmouth, and Willie then ends the thing saying, you should go find Angel and spend your last night together. And I was like, so ... Huh? Why the fuck is Willie doing that? Talk to me about these two scenes, Giles in the graveyard and Buffy at Willie's.
The Giles in the graveyard scene, the only thing I have to say is when he says like, there's something different about this body, you know, there's a stench of death in the air, and Xander's like, yeah, I think that's Bob.
Yes, I thought that was a funny line.
Was a funny,
but I thought it was an
line.
Opportunity for Xander to be like, wait, here, there's a couple corpses over there, is that part of it? That's all. It's just like, he's not that dumb.
Yeah, I think for me, it's to do with the fact that you also have to remember, I've just thought of this now, that like Xander grew up in Sunnydale, and he's been friends with Buffy now for like, I think we're like for these 3 years, where I think he's not thrown by these things happening.
Yeah, fair.
And I think it's almost maybe just like a commentary on how weird, like Sunnydale's a weird place where like weird things happen, so he's almost not going to be like, well,
weird things can happen at the same time. They don't necessarily have to be relevant. That's a really good point. Never thought of that.
And I think he's just like, yeah, you know, this guy's reanimated these people, and he's like, they haven't done anything bad yet. So I think he's just like, oh, I like that I like that element of them being like this gang of zombies, and he's like, I don't want to hang out with him. Like, please, like someone like give me something else to do. It's just kind of funny. I love when Willie says like, my clientele ain't exactly nuns and orphans. I just thought that was a good line. But again, I just felt like they not overpowered Willie. They just give him too much. This was such a unsuccessful exposition-y scene for me, because it was just like, there was no real need. It was a wasted scene for me. I just feel like Angel could have showed up being like, it's happening tonight. Like I found out like through my sources, and it would have been just the same. Whereas now my brain has to be like, these demons are going to a bar. Like they're like apocalypse demons, and they're like, oh, we'll look for the Slayer. Let's go to a bar.
Yeah, and they feel out of control, but then they feel in control at times. Like they're just ravaging and savaging, and then all of a sudden they're like walking through the streets without killing anybody else but Willie. Yeah, and I think I agree. And also, I was going to say there that another scene where there's no Xander in that he isn't in that scene. So again, it's highlighting that it isn't the perspective Xander thing. This is what the writer actually wants us to think.
Yeah.
Lover's Walk was definitely better than this, right?
I had problems with Lover's Walk as well,
Oh,
actually.
really? I can't remember. What's Lover's Walk
I
about
think there's
again?
more successful parts in this episode than what there are in Lover's Walk. Lover's Walk is the one where Spike came back.
Oh, and he's the English guy. Yes. Oh, yes. This feels like exactly the same. Like he's just. Yeah. No.
There's a lot of walking around exposition that we don't really, because we've never seen it happen before.
Wow. Okay. I forgot what Lover's Walk was there. Thank you. Any more on Willie?
No, that's it.
We cut to the zombies and they're in the car and they want beers.
When they leave the graveyard, they're like, beer!
Beer! And they get it and they want to get girls and a Taco Bell. And then we get some history about the different gangs that, like, did the Jackals throw you off, shot you and threw someone off a bridge, and then Bob was killed by an Armenian guy in a liquor store when he was trying to steal it. And then I think Dickie or something was thrown off a bridge or something, and it feels like they're being like
Sunnydale has just never felt like a gang town.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. It's interesting, obviously, to hear that there's subcultures in Sunnydale that we don't know
but
about.
like that end up in murder, not just like the beating each other up or hitting each other with baseball. Like there's like drive-bys and all. It's like it doesn't feel like.
Well, that's it. Yeah, because Jack was shot was killed in a drive-by, and it's like, okay, so Sunnydale has a lot of other problems that aren't super, or are they stoked by the supernatural, like evil from the Hellmouth? You know, but they've never mentioned gangs before, so it was just
Xander tries to get away, but he's kind of basically one of the teams. So the boy says when they go through different things they want to do, they said, no, let's go bake a cake. Which I was like, that's very sweet. I'd love to go bake a cake.
Yeah.
They pull up to a hardware store and the boys break in and Xander's just sitting in the car waiting. And I'm like, could have just driven away there at that point because they're not going to be able to chase you. Or can they? We find out later on they're superhuman fast. Just, it's really... Okay, I'm going to try my best not to pick apart too much of this stuff. A few things I did notice. Sorry. They pull up the hardware store, they break in, throwing stuff through the window. Xander's again sitting chatting out loud.
But they're always open for crime.
About what's going on. And he's sitting in the car waiting. Then he sees Willow leaving Uncle Bob's Magic Shop, which I didn't realise the name before, because I think it was just called the Magic Shop before. Has it always been Uncle Bob's?
I think it's changed. It's changed its name because the last owner's dead.
That's right, yeah.
Now it's Uncle Bob's Magic Cabinet.
Magic Cabinet. And I love that you kind of see Uncle Bob closing up and giving her the thing. She explains that Buffy told her it's happening tonight, whatever's happening, because we don't even know what's happening, but it's happening tonight. And Willow won't tell him. He's like, well, what's happening? He's like, I'm not going to tell you. It's like, but surely to keep him safe, you should give him all the knowledge so he doesn't go to the place.
Yeah.
But you'll tell him and he'll go to the place. But anyway, again, this is so stupid. They always explain. Especially to their friends. I'm just reading what I've written here as I was watching it. And then she runs up, hugs him, and says, I love you. And it still, Xander won't tell her about the corpses. Like, surely this is your best friend since you've been 5 years old. She knows everything about you, and you won't tell her about the corpses that have currently just broken into the... How can she not see them over her shoulder? And this running up and hugging and I love you, I promise you at this point, I was like, there must be a spell that's making them act really mental in this episode. That's so not what she would do in this moment. Even when the big, scary, bad things have happened, they still didn't do that.
Yeah.
And, anyway.
They're just trying to sell this apocalypse a little bit too hard.
Yeah, I wish it wasn't sold so much.
But the annoying thing is, like, I think that's the fucking that's the point.
No, they wouldn't. No, it's like Xander still won't tell the corpse, like, no, they wouldn't have anything to do with it. Because I still thought, these corpses are the thing that's causing... I thought... Anyway, at this point when I was writing...
I love that you've said a few times, and I love it when you're like, I thought there's some sort of spell or a witch was doing something. And I love when you say that, because I'm like, it's trying to make me think, like, what is your thought process when you watch something? Because I'm just like,
but when the characters,
it's so interesting.
When the characters when they do something so out of character,
act as normal. That's it. Like, and especially, I just think, like, our Scoobies are being so uncharacteristically condescending.
And I'm going to call back to the parents when the parents were yes,
and there was a spell
because they were acting out of normal, and that's why I'm like, because anytime there has been people acting out of ordinary, there's been a reason.
That makes sense.
This corpses sort of wonder, does Xander want to leave because he's getting that feeling? But the boy says no, he doesn't want to leave. He's in the gang. The thing is, he hasn't been initiated, and if he wants to be initiated, he has to die. And then we cut to black and go to a break. There's a lot of stuff happening there, a lot of exposition, a lot of stuff. Any thoughts, T-Bone?
Not loads, to be honest. I just loved seeing Jack's hot wee bod riddled with bullet holes. And one of the things I picked up on is I love his accent. I love, like, you know, he's got that southern twang.
Yeah.
And I think that, and because you mentioned Grandpappy, it kind of gave me flashes to, like, of course he knows how to reanimate corpses. There's a very, like, New Orleans-y, you know, kind of like hoodoo-y vibe that I got. And I think it was just maybe a small, smart choice to have his accent be South and to say, like, Grandpappy. I just thought, but his accent is so hot. So he was like, come on, Xander, take it like a man. I'm like, I'll take it like a man. I'll fucking hold my little balloon knot open. You can ram me full of that fucking sword.
Balloon knot.
I love that these actors that are playing the zombies have obviously just been told to play it straight, because I think that's what makes it come off like
they're brilliant,
funnier.
They're brilliant.
So good. They are so good. I would have loved to have just seen a self-contained episode with them, because I thought that was great.
I actually just wish none of the Scoobies were in it. It was just Xander and them. Because how he's interacting with them is so, like, it feels like Weekend at Bernie's the opposite way around, and they're taking Xander with them, who's the living person. Just fucking class. Sorry, I interrupted you.
I think it was just like, obviously we know they're trying to show the two, like, what happens, blah, blah, blah. But I almost think, like, this could have been just as successful if they didn't show that, and it was only, like, the next day Xander sees them all bruised and stuff.
Yes.
And, you know, like, it would have been just as successful, I think. Like, and I think one of the reasons why Xander doesn't say anything to Willow about the corpses, or isn't saying to anyone, is because they keep saying to him, be safe. So he's almost like, well, I can't tell them now that I'm running around with these fucking zombies, or they're going to be raging at me.
That's a really good point. After the break, we open up with Xander figuratively shitting himself. God, if he only spoken to someone, anyone. When we found out that Jack the bully is dead, and he had a drive-by, and his grandpappy raised him 10 minutes after he had died. And I'm like, I want to see the grandpappy more than I want to see the demon I've already seen before. I'm like, that sounds really cool. It's some weird Texas Chainsaw Massacre callback to, like, weird family that they're all, like, I can imagine, like, that deep south kind of like voodoo vibe,
like Wrong Turn.
Yeah, yes, like
like West Virginia.
Yes. But they know how to do magic. Like, I totally would have believed that quicker than they're going to bring back the same monster they've had before. But then Xander, like, just is able to run away, and he runs over to the corner, gets himself trapped, and still kind of jumps into the car and drives off. Ooh, he does like a really comical, like, ooh, as the car drives him off, which I really like.
The car's going so fast.
And then basically the zombies are raging that he stole their stuff for making cake. I like the music. I like that he got away, because there's times that they do just get away easy. If he didn't get away, it wouldn't be interesting. So I put that out of my head. And I was like, I quite like that it comes from not deep tense, but comical and jokey, like with the tick. I thought that was really good. I quite like the music. I guess the music when we're with Xander works for me. And then we cut to Faith getting her ass kicked by the demon, which shows that it is a strong demon, which I quite like that. But she does sort of punch it, and then Xander just drives into it. He sees it, and she kicks it in front of Xander, and he hits the demon. The way this sort of was shot felt a bit like he never once looked surprised to see Faith there.
There was no change. I would have liked to see him be like, oh, like he just was deciding to go faster.
Okay, that's
but there was
good.
nothing. It was almost like they just took a shot of him. He was still driving, and then all of a sudden he just drove.
Yeah, I got that too. I was like, there was no indication that he noticed that was Faith. Like, and then I thought maybe, he's going to hit the demon. Like, oh shit, I've hit the demon, or I've hit someone, and it's a demon. And he's like, get in. In my brain, I was already rewriting that scene to make it make sense, because it just didn't make sense to me. And we're about to get to a bit where I'm like, what the fuck? Right? So Faith gets in the car and they get away, and then they get to Faith's motel room. We get a little bit of old Xander when Faith's like, but I guess it's how she says the word, hold me. Instead of going like, hold me, she's like, she does it in this wee delicate way. So he like goes in for the move, as Xander does when he thinks any of his friends is vulnerable at some point. Sorry, I'm going into old school Xander. Not this episode Xander. I genuinely think he got confused by the way she fucking says hold me. If some sexy girl was all like, hold me, I'd be like, okay. I would ask permission and stuff. Anyway, he assumes it's a hug, and then she's like, no, just my arm. And then she's like, actually, ba-da-ba-da-bum. Boom, boom. Now, to be
After
fair,
she snaps her shoulder back into her pocket.
yeah, but Brandon Flowers is a sexy man. We've said this before. When he plays the bad guy in The Wolf, like he is probably got a hot old body. Takes the old top off. He is a good looking guy. Like,
Get a room.
but I wrote, what the fuck is with this episode? I knew that he lost his virginity in this episode to Faith because it was a question in the pub quiz, and I can still remember some of the answers to the questions. It's really annoying. Like the flugelhorn, I knew you could play the flugelhorn. But now suddenly, and this feels like it's been written by a man. This is where I'm like, this has been written by a man. She's just, in my opinion, she's just got her bollocks knocked in. Her arm is hanging off, and she's all of a sudden immediately horny. And I'm not saying that women can't be horny in those moments of things. Go, Tony.
Faith says in the first episode she's introduced it, and it's like, isn't it always funny how Slen makes you hungry and horny? And then Buffy says, sometimes I crave a low-fat yogurt.
I didn't realize it was a callback. My bad.
That's okay.
And then I'm going to continue.
Skipping all this?
I'm just like, no, I'm just totally wrong. No, I did say this. I did say something. I was like, well, I'm just going to read what it says. So Faith's now all of a sudden turned on with the excitement, and she's ready to pop. I mean, pop.
Squish. Visceral. Lip shits. Pop. Squish. Visceral. Lip shits.
Does she have to go get the ride every single time that she slays? But whatever. Maybe she does. That's all good. Implying she wants to have sex with him as he is up. I mean, up.
Squish. Visceral. Lip shits.
Pop up. I'm like, all right, fucking hell. But even how this is written, I wish there was no fucking words. I wish she'd have just jumped them.
Yeah.
But it was all this shite. I can believe that she wants to have sex with him. I'm not stupid. Women want to have sex too. They're not just fucking this like sexist people. Women can be dirty bitches and they're horny bitches. They have sex drives as well. And you've set the point to say that Faith has...
Women can be dirty bitches and horny bitches.
I know, I realised I said that. I don't care, leave it in. You know what I mean, girls? I'm trying to say, like, I used to hate this, that...
Women are sexual beings too.
Anyway, we find out that he's still a virgin, which I don't think was very clear before. And I'm like, would this scene happen this way if Xander was a girl and saying that she was a virgin? Like, losing your virginity is a really big deal to guys as well. And it's like, it's a big nerve-wracking thing. Yes, you can't wait to have sex, but you're still a human being doing this thing for the first time. It's someone that is a special thing. And maybe it isn't. Maybe that's just a me thing. But I'm just like, this is also sometimes a negative thing towards men that we just assume, like...
Yeah.
And I have no doubt that he would have wanted to and all that stuff. I don't mean that at all. It's just the lightness and kind of like... jokiness, like when we see Buffy lose her virginity, like she has loved and all this stuff, but he just gets us home, gets fucked out of the hotel room, which I was a bit like, I hate that is a product of its time, that boys will be boys attitude of like, of course you just want to have sex. And I actually get the feeling from Xander afterwards that he's a bit like he wanted to cuddle.
Yeah.
And I quite like that you get that feeling from it.
That's the thing that I think as well, is that like I like that they flipped that traditional virginity losing thing on its head, and they also reinforce Faith's characters being like she is in charge. She's got her own agency, you know. A lot of that comes from her Slayer-ness that she maybe wouldn't have if she didn't have that power.
Fair, never thought of it that way.
I think there is that element of like, you can see that Xander is like kind of uncomfortable when he says, I don't really know what to do, and she says like, oh, don't worry, I'll steer you around the curves.
We also get this weird scene where at the television,
the reflection in the TV,
and I was like, oh, we watch it. I thought that was one of those like, and we cut to television and someone happens to be doing something. No, it's them. And I was like, what a weird shot choice as well.
I also think that was to emphasize the point that like
she's on top, and
when I said about because it kind of goes to show that they're really trying to make us see that this is something that happens that's out of Xander's control in a non-rapey way.
It's consensual, but he is...
Because we've seen him be so like lecherous towards girls before, this can take all of that back so that you can be like, oh, Xander's losing his virginity, and it's not like he's not trying to like make it happen. That's not why he was there with Faith. I think that's just their way of doing that. It does make you wonder when they map out a season, for example, of like if they you know have the stories, that if they've got story beats and then they're trying to wiggle them around to find, and this was like because it feels a bit like this was the only place they could Because from here on out, it's like...
You've said, like, you watch 5 after this, back to back, and when you do that, I'm like, I actually get excited for that, because you're never wrong. Anytime you ever tell me you've ended up watching the rest of the rest of season 2, it was amazing. I can't wait to watch the next ones now, because I do get the feeling that I know that Faith is a really good character in this, and I still haven't got any of her. We're nearly halfway through the thing.
Yeah.
Really love that Tabby told us last week that's due to her age and having time constraints of having her in the TV show. And I was going to say to what you just said there, I'm curious to know if this is just a, what do they call it? Like this is nothing to do with the overall arc. This is just an episode of the week that's been written to drop in as and when they need to, just because they needed to fill in a week before they could do this, or we need Christmas to fall at this time, so we need to put an episode in here to push it that week. Do you know what I mean? And I from listening to West Wing Weekly, they do that a lot. Like, that might have been something that happened earlier on or later on in the season, but they were like, "Fuck no."
I think they're also trying to do a Xander reset, because he'd been so harsh up until this point.
That's a good show. I never thought of that.
Especially in the first half of season 3, that if they reset him going into the second half of the season, then it feels like our Scoobies are together.
Mm-hmm.
It makes the threat seem bigger because they're all...
Yeah. Any more on that scene?
Yeah, sorry. I was just gonna say, I love the ending where it was like he's cuddling her and then it just cuts to like Faith being like, "That was great, got a shower." And she like kicks him out. Like, I just love that about Faith. Although one of the things that I do think is a little strange when I think about it, is that Faith has obviously talked about being a sexual person and stuff before and having boyfriends and stuff, but I'm like, she's 17, 18.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a really early for like...
But it is a product of its time.
I know a lot of it is maybe to do with like, that's her character, and obviously they're not writing all the women like that, because still the majority of our female characters have their virginity, except for Buffy.
You can legally get married in Northern Ireland at 16. It is a thing of its time. I think we are allowing kids to grow up slower nowadays, and then, like, I would have been going out into it wouldn't have been unusual for my parents to let me go to a bar at 14. Because I
don't know why I'm saying that, as if I wasn't like a mad slut by the time I was 17. But I think there's that connotation of like, Faith is from, she's from a tougher area. And sometimes I don't like that connotation that like, if your life isn't like picture perfect like Buffy's, that you just become a mad whore with like no direction.
I take it as not that she's a mad whore. I think having sex and wanting sex doesn't make you whorish.
Yeah.
But I think that it's to do with she had to grow up faster. So therefore she would be introduced to sex sooner, and then accept, like, she'll drink. Remember she asked for alcohol at one point, I think, and it's like, what? Like, I think that even as you look at her, I didn't realize she was actually in real life that age, because she's such a mature person, seems to be such a mature person or something. Where Oz is going apeshit in the cage, Willow's worried. This is actually my least favourite scene I think I've ever seen. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen any of the Scoobs do, even fucking Giles. And let me get to the end of this. You can tell me if I'm wrong, because I don't think you are. I think we probably think the same. Love to know your perspective of it. Giles explains that maybe he can sense that, like, he's in the fucking library, and that's where the fucking big hellmouth's going to open. Maybe he can sense it, and so he just goes over and he gives Willow a gun, a stun gun, or a poison bullet. What do you call it? A tranquilizer gun. And he opens the cage to this apeshit werewolf that's going mental, that has to be locked up even when he's not going apeshit. So let's open the cage. And then Oz beelines for Willow, who doesn't really look overly frightened, and shoots a gun nowhere near where he is, but seems to hit him twice. Why is he opening the cage? He didn't give a reason why he had to open the cage at any point. Why would that?
They could have just poked the gun through the letterbox thing in the cage.
This is my fucking thing. She shoots him a couple of times. Somehow Giles is very easily able to grab this werewolf that I assume is animalistic, and he's able to be held back like Oz would if he was a human, and the werewolf seemed weak then, and I thought that was like, well, they've done a really good job of making him not seem big and powerful, but like ferocious, like a badger, more than a big, tall, massive thing. Because I think it is him in that costume, or it's someone the size of, but then it didn't need to be someone the size of Oz. The werewolves are, anyway. Sorry, I'm going way down into a thing here, but I want to get to my last line. They finally knock him out, and they're like, good, and she pets him like, I hope he's not annoyed at me in the morning. And I'm like, no, why would you not point the thing into the cage and shoot first? There's so many holes in that cage. You just need to put the gun into it and poop, and calm him the fuck down. You didn't even need to let him out again. Just leave him in the cage sleeping. Blows my mind. But maybe they're like, let's get him away from the epicenter of the big evil. Fine. So take him out of the cage. don't open the cage first, Giles, you silly cunt. You've been knocked out of the fucking Watchers Council and you're already like, oh, I've forgotten how to be in any way intelligent. This is just it's wicking weak in my head, except, again, cut to Xander back in the car, looking in the bags, sees the kerosene. I'm like, every time I felt relieved when I went back to the Xander scenes, and every time I went to the Scoobs, I was like, oh, please stop showing me the Scooby Gang. Anyway, any thoughts on that little scene?
There was a lot of pointless. I agree. There's a lot of pointless Scoob stuff that doesn't make sense in order just to provide an opposite of what's happening.
Yeah,
it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like Willow, the only thing I'll say about Willow is that she, so far, I think, is the only person that has used that gun successfully. When she's the first one that ever shot Oz in the episode where they have to use it, and then in the episode Beauty and the Beast, where she shoots him as well. Like, she gets the gun and shoots him. So I like that Willow's kind of like this badass with that trank.
Yeah, for her, because she has to, because it's her boyfriend.
And it made me wonder if they thought maybe, oh well, he'll be less raging, trying to, like, he won't go after Willow because he'll recognize her, but I don't think that's the case at all.
Definitely not. He's a beeline.
But I literally wrote, like, Oz looks about as ferocious as Arya whenever I'm trying to cut her nails. That's literally
there's no
exactly
jeopardy.
what that was like. She's like, I just see Willow there with a nail clipper being like, there you go. But that's literally all I have.
So I'm going to bomb through right up until the break here, because it's a little jump in between a few scenes and they're quite short. We cut to Xander in the car and he decides to look in the bag to see what cake making stuff they had, and he finds kerosene and stuff to make a bomb, like wires and shit. And he realizes out loud that they're not making a cake, and then he just continues to speak out loud to himself. I do talk to myself out loud, but never in full sentences. It's always like a word or two slips out, or
I do.
Yeah, but you're mental and you live alone.
But I think a lot of it is because I do live completely by myself, and if I didn't speak,
yeah, I do know. But I'm actually going to forgive the talking out loud bit. He then decides to go back to the hardware store to look for the corpses to see what they're trying to blow up, and then I guess this is his bravery showing. He can't help himself. He needs to make sure everyone's safe. I like this part of it. He starts again to speak out loud about, like, maybe these dead guys are going to blow something up. Oh my God, I just had sex. And I'm like, okay. And it's this point that he decides that he's now going to go talk to Buffy. At this point, he went to the hardware store first, not when he found the stuff. I'm getting into the thing. And he decides he's going to go talk to Buffy. And then this is where we cut to an terribly acted melodramatic scene between Angel and Buffy. But we've seen this scene before. This is what's annoying me. It feels like, do you know in Harry Potter 3 where they go back in time and then they relive some of their life again, and then you're seeing it from a different perspective? This feels like that Xander's gone into season 1 or season 2 whenever they have these big, like, there's that amazingly deep emotional scene between Buffy and Angel about, there's so many of them, but like it feels like it, but it feels so badly done. And I'm like, in my opinion, it feels so badly done. And she's basically like, Angel says he's going to go face the big bad on his own, and then they just declare their love for each other, and it's this melodramatic much. And then I was like, is it melodramatic on purpose? And like, I'm starting to ask these questions in this, and then this is where we get this weird record scratch cut to, and the camera pans, I think, and we don't get very many pan shots
because I thought it was funny.
It was funny, but it's like, it was funny, but I wish we'd have seen him. It was funny. Yes, this is where I started.
I think it would have been nicer to see him go up to see that happen.
Yes, and then go into
like,
their thing.
Cough.
Yes, I think there was like, I didn't know how much of that has he seen. Has he just walked in? Because this is where I started getting confused with the perspectives of Xander. But Xander interrupts the big emotional scene to fess up, and then he doesn't fess up after already fucking interrupt him. You've come this far, you've already killed our mojo, but he leaves. No one ends up asking him why he came in the first place, which I thought you would. Then he decides to work it out himself and wondering out loud what they might want to blow up and bomb. Then we cut to Jads doing a big mad spell when Willow enters saying that Oz is sweet now, and they're doing a binding spell and are frightened about what is going to come out. And then the zombies are making a bomb that is counting down from 1 hour, and it looks like a big bomb. And these things all happen kind of quite quick sequentially. Any thoughts on? And then we cut to black to the third break, and we're into our final our final arc, our final act.
I have some thoughts. First of all, when the Angel and Buffy scene, when Buffy's like, I don't know what to do, and Angel says, "What about your hair?" This is so fucked. No,
I
but
didn't notice.
in my mind, it was like,
I thought he did.
Her hair is so distracted. Like, it is just so distractingly bad. Like, I just don't get it. Anyway, at first I had wrote, I love how they play the melodrama in this episode for the comedy. But the more I start to think about it, I think that it's the weaker part of the episode.
The comedy's
I
great.
do like that. Like, yeah. Like Xander provides enough of the comedy that they shouldn't have hammed up all of the other stuff. And this kind of goes to show how that Xander's, like, the actor at least, can play those moments, because it's not easy, like, to act funny or to be funny or to have those moments come off as genuine. So I felt it was nice to see him. It was nice to see a bit more range. Like, one of the things that I don't like that is never brought up again or hasn't been mentioned before is, like, it's like they're trying to highlight this social dynamic of the Scooby Gang, where, like, they love Xander, but they often dismiss him. One thing I did find very strange was that whenever Xander comes away from Buffy and Angel and he's walking up the steps, that they didn't take out the sound of the empty, hollow wooden step and replace it with, like, concrete. Because I'm like, it took me out of it. I was like, I just felt it was weird, but maybe it's because I think about those things like that. How the fuck did Willow move Oz? She says, oh, he could barely walk after the Mickey that I gave him. It's like, what was she, like, arm over his shoulder, like carrying him down to the, like, there was so much stuff didn't make sense for me.
And we know where he ends up. So
they basically shoved him in a cupboard or whatever
down the border.
I'm like, if anyone has, like, any thoughts on this as well, please comment, like, in the episode and let us know your thoughts, because I would love to hear. Like, I'm imagining Willow, like, hobbling with, like, why didn't Giles help? Why didn't they? Should have shown them both coming back in, or, like, dragging him by his arms or his feet, or anyway.
I'd be curious to know if we're totally off on this and whether, please.
I don't think we, like, can't be off in something that's just an opinion, you know. But
fair.
Giles wants to keep Willow away from doing dark magic, and this is a trend that will kind of continue.
But is Giles doing the dark magic?
Yes, but remember, he's got a history with that.
Oh, yeah, true. That's right.
One thing I thought was funny is that, Cordelia references Jack earlier in the episode as a subliterate that's been held back. And I'm like, how can a subliterate that's been held back a certain amount of grades know how to build a bomb? Oh, I can tell you, he's autistic. And I don't mean that in a slagging way. I mean that in a like, that's obviously, you know, like, back in our day when you, like, weren't great in school and stuff, people were like, oh, you're a stupid fucker, blah, blah, blah. And then you could go become the best electrician ever.
Or different types of intelligence. There's, like, physical intelligence where people have really great hand-eye coordination and can do those, like, block things.
Let's get physical.
So after the break, we open with Xander, still talking out loud, telling us the plot about going to Giles. Like, Giles is calmer than Buffy.
He's way more calm than Buffy.
Xander comes upon the corpses walking down the middle of the road looking like Stand By Me, like, and somehow this is the only scene for me that gets a bit fantastic, a bit too fantastic for my liking.
I love it was so stupid.
Somehow Xander just grips a corpse as he's driving slowly, just is able to grab one with his left hand and continue driving. So I'm like, he's holding him in the air. That's a full man's body weight. He's just holding up like this. Then a little bit of me what ends up happening to the corpse, like, maybe it's a little lighter. Maybe it's not a full man's body weight. Maybe lots of shit's died in them and they're not that heavy.
Yeah, because you expel all your gases and liquids and stuff, don't you?
This is it. And the head comes off so easily that I'm like, maybe it wasn't that heavy in the first place. And he's one of the older ones instead there. So I did forgive it a little bit. But there's something so...
It was unrealistic.
He asks him once, like, where is the bomb? And the corpse is like, oh, I don't know why he's afraid of death. He's been killed multiple times by the sounds of things. But anyway, he says, oh, it's in the skull. The boiler room in the skull. Just like that. Doesn't have to ask him twice. And before Xander can find out how to defuse the bomb, he's like, and what if you do? You make sure you build that. His head falls off. And even Xander is like, oh, I need to stop talking. I need to stop talking so much.
His head falls off.
Gets knocked off by a mailbox. Excuse me,
His
sorry.
head falls off.
I should just read my script. I look at my script and then I go off and just start ramming. The head of the corpse is knocked off by a mailbox, and then we get a little jokey thing from Xander being like, maybe I should have got to that bit quicker.
But it becomes a running joke because he says it again later.
Exactly.
When he's like, I really need to stop.
Yes, and then the thing is, at the end, he does stop talking. Then we cut to the scene as, right, so then you hear the corpses shouting, he's going to the school. And then we cut to the school, and then we'll let you speak in a second. We cut to the school and Xander's run in, and he runs and sees spots the like boiler room. And not, honestly, 5 or 6 seconds after, all the corpses coming in, but he had driven away from them in a car. How did they catch up so fast? That's the bit that I'm like...
Suspend your disbelief.
I was trying, but it was doing a bad job of it. You need to make me suspend my disbelief. I'm very happy with the vampires. But physics is still fucking physics. But
the hard part about us as people, the way we are, and I say this about me and you, like if you've got us, you've got us.
Big time.
But see, when you don't have us,
we'll be cunts.
You're being picked up. Everything. I'm just like
when you come in primary school and you've got nets, I'm gonna pick your hair apart, fucking follicle by follicle to fucking
I never had nits when I was in school because my hair was always so dirty. I love that was people's defense when they had nits. They only go to clean hair. Like, oh, whatever, you got nits, you fucking trump.
I had nits.
Even though nits are normal and everyone has nits.
Yes, it's just a bug that lands on your head.
I've never had nits ever.
And then Xander notices the basement door before even they come in, and then he doesn't just go in, he runs away. Anyway, he continues to run on. There might be a reason for that. Then we cut to this mental monster in the library scene where they've got full FX out. The cast are going full for it, and I'm like, wait, you can't show me. I want to see that now. Like, that's really good. Like,
I know.
And then getting in between, like, why didn't we get anyway? But the camera focuses then on Xander running past the library, not noticing the crazy monster and noise and lights and fucking fog machines that are going off in there, which is fine. But one of the corpses is able to notice it. And then
I like that little small notice of him like stopping and being like, wow.
I love the corpses. Again, love the corpses.
The corpses
Corpse
are so
gang
good.
are gorgeous. I think what they're doing their job. They are supposed to be scary but funny. Scary. They're like comically scary, and then we've got this scary thing happen, but that feels less believable than the jokey corpses. Do you know what I mean? They feel more real to life than the thing in this world, even though we've already seen this monster. And it's because, again, it feels like it's rehashing. It's pastiche, taking the piss out of itself.
There's too much.
It's also taking the piss out of itself.
Well, that's it, yeah.
But it hasn't, I don't think Buffy's earned its right to yet. Isn't that on its 100th episode? I feel like when you get up to like 100 episodes, you get to start taking the piss out of yourself. In my opinion,
I mean, it's maybe it's different because Buffy in season 3 was like, it was the height of its fame. It was on the WB, you know, it was like.
But I am watching an episode per week as people would, and I'm still like, it feels like undeserved even to me. And we do have the gaps even between seasons because we did take gaps between seasons. So I did have that's why I don't remember things quite as much from season 1 and halfway through season 2.
Because I was thinking about this recently as well. Like, have you watched Game of Thrones?
Yeah. But I've read it.
Like, do you remember like in that last, like when we were waiting on, like when you saw the ice dragon knock down the wall and then you had to wait like for if it's something's not event TV, then I just think you're automatically going in at like a slight detriment.
Yeah, 100%.
Sometimes.
Definitely.
You know,
I do agree with that.
It was making me wonder if I would have liked as many things that I liked if I had just been able to binge them. Probably not.
Yeah, because it was a sad thing. Everyone was talking about it, and it was coming together. And like you're saying, you're waiting on Pluribus to finish. I kind of wish you'd have watched it week by week with me, because getting to then talk about like what you're waiting on, or like what we think is going on, rather than like, oh well, we know because it's got to the end of the season. It's like I like event TV. I like episode by the week. Like when we do talk about the new Buffy season, it will be episode per week, and I like that I will be at the same place as you.
Yeah, that's it. Like, because I do think that's why I would like at some point to find something we've both not seen, even just to watch, or like
even just as a little practice. Yeah, I love that. The zombies continue to chase Xander, and then when they get to his thing, can't find him, so he split up, which is classic little trope. One grabs an axe, fights Xander, who defeats him by hitting him and basically dropping a vending machine on his head, which I loved. I thought that was a really good way to kill him. And then he comes out speaking all movie talk with the axe, and the zombie runs away, which made me laugh so hard, because he's like, hey, I wasn't finished, because he's doing a hey, do you feel lucky punk kind of vibes. And but I also loved that zombie was like, fuck this, and run, because he's already seen what Xander's done to 2 of the zombies. And I like smart evil people are my favorite. The ones who don't just do the trope, they do the real life person thing. I was like, yeah, of course. Spike a little bit.
They've almost like accidentally turned Xander into like the Terminator for zombies, which is just like by pure like chaotic comedy.
Works
mistake.
for me. I believe it. I actually believe it. I believe in the development of him. I can see him getting more confident. And like when you said he jumped into the car and drove away from them, like I just believe. You're right. I do enjoy this being a Xander-centric episode. I do enjoy the character of Xander. It's fucking everyone else my problem. We cut to Buffy then being kicked. Like the effect that it must have cost to do that, pulling her out of the door with the thing and having to color it all out with the VFX and then her running straight back in to get started again was just. I really wish they had done. I wish I love it because I don't know what the fuck's going on, and I quite like that I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Make up your mind.
Xander then chases the corpse, and then as he does like a Scooby joke, call back to like Scoobiness where they run into a hallway, and then Xander runs out with the axe, the zombie, and then there's the 3 evil demons come running out after them all.
The cores.
The cores. And eventually the 3 sisters eat Jim in the wee. And it's quite a bit of a ferocious sounding horrible death. And Xander at this point beelines to the boiler room where he finds the bomb, speaking out loud about the dumb guy bomb. And we've got a dumb guy in the room with a bomb. We've only got 2 minutes, setting the jeopardy. He finds that Jack is there. He's trying to stab him with Katie, and then he fights him off, and they sort of begin fighting each other and keep fighting. And Xander's talking about how Xander then changes from a fight to a psychological game of chicken to show Xander's bravery. And I really like that this is the thing about Xander. As you said, he shows up and he's brave, regardless if he's good or like good at what he does, if he's a weak link or whatever. But at least he's not like that corpse that ran away. He is brave, and I think that is I've gotten that from this episode, and I like that, and I'll carry that on with me, that at least I know that Xander's brave. Even in his hardest moments, he truly is a brave person. Basically just talking about how he'll die too, and what you think you've got like 30 seconds to get out that door before like upstairs out of the thing before you explode. And then basically we get that call back. It's about who has less fear. And I quite like that. That's what Jack had said to him. Like, here, take the knife. Who has less fear? Obviously, we know Jack had no fear because he can't die because he's already a corpse, which is quite funny. So he doesn't actually have. Jack never had less fear than Xander the whole time, because you only have fear because of jeopardy and consequence. Jack has no consequence. He is already dead. So therefore, I love all this. I got all that. I thought, class, that's a really interesting way to show us that Xander's the most brave because he has the most to lose, because he has nothing. It is nothing but his will's guile and his bravery. That's anyway. Anything to say?
I already said some stuff about, like, I love like the kind of chaotic energy that Xander starts to gain from the moment they get to the school, and when it's like you see his confidence grow when he obviously kills Bob. And I thought it was quite smart the way he like splats him with the vending machine. I thought that was great,
knowing that headshots are the thing that kills him. I thought that was he's learned from how did the other one. Sorry, go ahead.
There's a part with Jack and Xander in the basement where Jack is like, first I'm going to cut out your eyes and then your tongue, and then I'm going to break every one of your fingers. And Xander's like, you're going to do all of that in 49 seconds.
That's the line, and it really made me laugh. I was like, because it was scary. Really he is a baddie, but Sanders, that's funny. That's a Buffy line. That's like what Buffy would do and say those like little throwaway lines. Yeah, good spot.
I think because we're starting to see Xander's humor in a place where it's like not as like used as a defense or whatever. It's like, because we always see Buffy's her humor in her offense, you know. So it's like now we're seeing that in Xander, where it's not like he's not breaking any tension. He's literally just like saying a humorous observation.
I've got a good one. And we find out that she's only punny when she has her power and when she's confident. And this is Xander showing his confidence because he's being punny in that moment. And sorry, I just found a little whoo. And actually, he doesn't have any powers anyway. His power is kind of his humor.
Yeah.
Not power, but you know.
Well, no, but this is the thing that I'm loving about this episode is like the idea that everyone keeps saying to him like, you're useless because you're normal and you don't have power. And then now we're starting to see that, well, actually that being normal is the thing that makes him special in the group,
because he's something to lose.
You know,
he can actually just be killed very easily.
Because he's the heart of the group, and he is he's trying to save his friends from all being blown up. That's the way I take it. Like, he's not just trying to be like, oh, I need to stop these zombies. I think he's like, my friends are here. And I wish they'd have been a bit more direct with that thought process. But I'm like, his friends are in the school. He doesn't want them to all die and get blown up. But I love the part when they're talking about defusing the bomb. I just love the way James Whitmore Jr. had the direction of like the cut between the library and the basement, and Xander and Jack. They'd look at the doors, the bomb. There was he had like the
Stop.
energy was built really well.
You're getting a little bit ahead of me. Let me do this little paragraph. Yes. So we cut to the mayhem in the library. We've got axes. Like Buffy's like, do it now, and like Giles like, do it now, and then you can see everyone's there hitting it with the axe, and there's all sorts of stuff happening. The mayhem, and then there's a line that Xander says is like, I like the quiet. And then it goes to the mayhem of the library. It's that line that brings us there, and then it comes back to the silence in that room. Like, they're just looking, and there's this smoothness, and he is cool. Xander is cool. He just is looking at him. Not at any point does he saying to him like, please would you pull that out, you're going to die. He wins the game of chicken essentially, and Jack is the one who's got more fear because he realised, well, you're going to be bits. Like, we're being reanimated when your corpse is one thing, but you're being swept up by the janitor is another. And I was like, class, yes, Xander, you're fucking nailing that shit. That was all good stuff that they wrote for him. And then eventually, 2 seconds ago, Jack pulls the device out of the bomb. Xander tells him not to come around these parts and leaves. But then I went, couldn't Jack just reset the bomb? Like, once Xander leaves, like, the bomb still works. Anyway, but I just is like, whatever. Because then Jack goes to leave from the other exit door, which is very lucky that Xander didn't use that door. And then we see Werrow's jump out and eat him, which really made me laugh. And then he does look ferocious as fucking that scene.
I just thought it was very well put together. The tension, and yeah, Xander saying like, yeah, I like the quiet. I thought that was nice.
And I like the juxtaposition between the mayhem and the quiet, and still both. But weirdly, there was more jeopardy in the quiet bomb than there was in the crazy tentacle thing.
That's the kind of direct, I guess, thing that they want you to.
It worked.
To think.
I think it worked.
But I thought it was. I loved it. It was great. I love Oz jumping out and eating him.
And it was a good jump too. And I do want to know if it is him. So I'm asking future Tony, can you look up and see if it is him in the costume or if it's another person?
Gender swapped future Tony here. I can confirm that it is Seth Green in the werewolf suit. However, he also has a stunt double. Hope that helps.
We cut to the school and it's quiet, normal day. And it's the next day, and we see the Scoobs are really beaten up. They've got Buffy in a sling. Everyone's got a few scratches. Oz looks like he's seen some shit, but has no memory of it then. So, because he's like, I'm weirdly full today.
Yeah, he doesn't remember his wolf times.
Oh, right, so he just looks a bit tired that he's been a werewolf again, or like a bit raging that he's been a werewolf. Because I think it's understandable that every time it becomes werewolf, it's like, fuck, I'm still a werewolf. And they sort of imply certain things, like, well done, Giles, for doing that thing. Like, you were so good. And he's like, I didn't know how to do me and all this stuff. So it was like, kind of get all that stuff. Then Xander comes in. And then they're sort of going like, God, you're so lucky you weren't in school last night. And he's like, and then he doesn't tell them that he was in the school the night before, which is the coolest thing to do, because he doesn't need to, because he knows himself. He loves himself. He has that truth and faith in himself. He doesn't need the adoration from his friends or anybody, which we then get really hammered home to, which I liked, because he bumps into Cordelia, because he even offers the guys a snack. He still knows his role is like, does anyone need a snack? Which I loved, even though they don't know what he did. Yeah. Loved this end scene, to be fair. Not the Scoobs, Xander's, what he does. And then he bumps into Cordelia, who's trying to wind him up, and he just does a little knowing smirk. Not even a smug one, just a you don't even know, and walks, and and also he's just got his hole the night before for the first time. Like, he's walking with a guy that's had sex and it wasn't with her, and she doesn't know, and him understanding actually it's in the non-speaking is where the coolness is. It's the mystery that's cool, not the telling people and hammering it home. But she can see it doesn't work, and then he just walks off, and that's it. That's the end of the show. Cut to credits. I had a whole thing to say here, but I actually don't even need to, because we've talked about it throughout the thing.
I actually love that. I love this part outside the school, because it basically is like, I guess all these scenes are meant to be kind of mirrors to what's going on. And we've got like that dramatic choral music, and they're all like bruised to fuck, and Giles has got these mad crazy scratches on his face, and they're all pretty much having a circle jerk about how brave they all were and how no one will ever know what they did. And basically that mirrors the fact that like they will never know, and they never do find out that Xander like basically saved all of their lives. And then when Xander offers them a snack, and Oz is like, no, I'm oddly full today. I just thought that was quite a funny wee
That was funny because he'd eaten a corpse.
kind of line that he's just ate Jack's fucking big mad. Cordelia's outfit again,
awful.
Talking about lack of cool. I'm like, how can you stand there and call someone?
Look at her hair from the back as well. Terrible.
Xander just walks away from Cordy's jibes because he doesn't need her validation anymore. And I like that this is like a growth. That's the whole point. It's a kind of growth moment. And the thing I love that Xander realizes himself is that he finds value in being ordinary.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a lovely message, I think, for people that don't feel like they fit in.
Yeah, I agree. I thought I was going to be more, as always it happens, I thought I was going to be more annoyed when I got through it, but I actually realised as I was talking about it, I enjoyed the elements of this episode that I loved, and the ones I didn't.
Is it the angelaments?
Angelaments. The angel bits. Angelaments.
I love angel bits.
But the elements of this episode I loved and thought it was good, and I was there for it. It's just, but the ones I didn't, I could, as you've seen, us little bitches picking it apart. If you lose me, you lose me. Still, I love the smash cuts. I love those smash cut edits, and like they're still, whoever the editor is nailing it.
Now I am wondering if they're going to start to annoy me because we talk about them, I'm noticing them so much, and I'm like, is this going to get annoying at some point?
I love it. I think it's funny. I think it's clever. It's good. It's clever used to move us along quickly, and it's like, and it uses humor, and it shows that people are thinking the same. No, I think it's all good. It's great editing, and it's good scripting as well.
Yeah.
I think I like it. No, I like it. I don't. For now, anyway. I think you'll only dislike it when it's done badly.
Yeah,
but they deliver. Even this, they do it really well.
I thought where this episode really succeeded was in its critique of the idea of like performative masculinity, and which I think is quite ahead of its time, like, or not even ahead of its time, but it's come back around to being like quite relevant now.
Yeah.
And I love that we see that Xander becomes a true hero only when he lets go of needing to look impressive, and I think that is like a really strong thing for Xander because he's normally so toxic.
Yes, agreed. And that may come back, I'm sure, in the future, but maybe not. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe this is just development. This is how Xander is as we go on. I can't see. I've looked at the script, moved on to the script. So if you're doing a face, I can't know.
No, I was just going to say, like, I actually think you'll really like Xander in season 4, like, as well, because he's all of his, everyone goes to college and he doesn't, and he like has a different job nearly every episode. So he's struggling to find his place in the world, and I think I like that. But as someone who like has tried a million different jobs, it's like he's trying to find his place, which I really love. So I think you'll like that as well. This season is normally like.
Sorry, I do like Xander as a character. To be fair, I haven't really bitched or shat on him at all for ages.
But we've had a slew of like really toxic, awful shite. But I'm quite excited for season 4 on a rewatch because it's my least favorite season probably, but I feel quite excited to like look at it in a different way.
Fair. Me too.
So yeah,
for the first time.
Hit the intro, bitch.
Thank you guys for listening. Sorry. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. If you like what you've seen and heard, then make sure to hit that subscribe button or the bell icon to be notified when we post something new.
Wow, what a completely natural conversation.
Ding, ding.
Ring my bell. Ring my bell! Sorry. Come ring my bell! Ring my bell! Ring my bell! Ring my bell! Ring. Sorry.
If you're on Spotify, if you're on Spotify, please rate us or leave us a wee review. And if you want to support the pod, then now is actually the best time ever to join our Patreon because we have exclusive uncut clips, things that are too spicy to make the main episode. I know what you're thinking. How can things get even more spicy? But they are. We've put a ton of new stuff on there recently. There's a ton of more new stuff coming. We've got like a great newbie segment we're doing with different podcast creators where we're interviewing them and just talking to them. And so there's loads of bang for your buck. That's it for this week.
Yeah. Thanks for
Make sure
watching.
to come back next week. Join us for the episode Bad Girls. Yeah.
Bad girls. Sorry.
No, David and I are starting a Bad Girls rewatch from ITV.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. See you later. Au revoir, you big mad whore.